What's up, YouTube? This is your girl, Megan. Welcome back to my channel if you're already a subscriber. And if this is your first time joining me on today, go ahead, hit that subscribe button because you know you want to. So, happy Saturday, y'all. I hope this video is finding you guys in good spirits. We done finally made it to the weekend. Thank God, okay? And I am coming at y'all tonight or this morning or whenever you're viewing this video, because I wanted to do a video that, or a reading rather, that has been very much highly requested from several different people. And I've always wanted to do a reading on this individual personally. But once again, it's just kind of one of those situations where I just hadn't gotten around to it until now. So as you can see by this picture, I am doing this reading on Mr. Dino, aka Kevin Connor. He is 1/3 of the trio HTown. And I know I have a lot of young subscribers, but some of my old heads and my more mature grown folk, so to speak, might remember the HTown group because they came out with that song back in the early 90s. Like, this is back when I was a baby, okay? Nobody rocking, knocking the boots. Oh, I give me some good love. Somebody rocking, knocking the boots. Hey, what y'all know about knocking them boots? Okay, and I remember these boys distinctively because they were fine as hell. Specifically, Dino and his twin brother. Okay, fine as hell, looked damn good. You hear me? So over the years, I think I saw they had an unsung episode, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, the group was like, I don't want to call them a one-hit wonder because they had like a song or two after the fact. But overall, their fame definitely kind of sizzled out. And Knocking the Boots is absolutely their signature hit. Like, that's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of H-Town, right? And of course, they're named H-Town because they're from Houston, Texas. I meant to mention that up front. So yeah, their fame kind of sizzled out over the years. And back in 2003, Dino actually died in a car accident with his pregnant girlfriend. So he was apparently coming home from the studio, like a late night studio session, and his girlfriend was driving home when they were basically hit by a truck that ran a red light. And they were killed instantly. The occupants of the other vehicle actually just fled the scene. Like, they were fine, they fled the scene, and then were later apprehended for the accident. So yeah, and then of course you know how that goes, especially when group members lose like a vital person in the group, they just kind of fade away. And I do believe that it is documented that the following year, the duo at that point wanted to make, or maybe they did put out another album the next year, the following year after Dino's death, but ain't nobody buy that shit, okay? So with that being said, like, I think, you know, hopefully they hanging it up because the nostalgia piece is no longer there. If you don't have all original group members present, you kind of lose your fan base a little bit. Like, nobody wants to see you tour without the original member present. So whatever. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started because I saw a lot of very interesting and telling like little aspects and components in Dino's chart. So let's go ahead and dig in, shall we? So Dino, aka Kevin Connor, was born on November the 18th, 1974 in Houston, Texas. Now, right off bat, when I saw that number 18, I was like, okay. That kind of explains a lot because 18 deals with hypersexuality. And I mean, the group, the highlight of their career was a song about fucking. They were a very kind of sexual, you know, like that boy toy kind of group. They had that suave, Pretty Ricky before Pretty Ricky style vibe to them. So that stood out to me. And then the fact that he is a Scorpio. So it's like, Scorpio is the natural ruler of the 8th house. And it deals with, yes, it deals with sex, right? Which is one component of that group and their persona and what they have to offer. But it also represents death too. And that's kind of a reoccurring theme that's in his chart because he actually has a Scorpio stellium, okay? With his sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and his midheaven all in his 10th house. By the way, I kind of just finagle. Sometimes I just accept that I don't have a birth time for certain like celebrities and stuff when I do these readings. And then sometimes I just like try to finesse a birth time. So I usually do 12 p.m. as a placeholder and then just tweak the time around a little bit to see if it kind of makes sense as far as like the house placements, because I really wanted to have access to the housing placements in Dino's chart because it would definitely provide a lot more clarity on certain things. And actually, I came up with him being an Aquarius rising. I'm not 100% sure, but based off of certain things that I saw, which we'll get to later, it made sense. Like his house placements made perfect sense. So with him being an Aquarius rising, like I said, his midheaven falls into his 10th house of Scorpio. And with so many planets, like of his planets in this 10th house, especially his sun and his Venus. And by the way, his Venus is at that 29th degree, which is like, it's a lot. Like I get kind of like, ugh, every time I see the 29th degree in somebody else's chart because it's that deep. It brings about a lot of upheavals, crises, sudden changes, sudden transformations, just a lot of drama. It can even deal with third party situations. So it's a lot that comes with that number 29. But his sun, especially in his 10th house, could indicate him being like popular. You know, it points towards his popularity, his fame. A lot of people with their suns and moons in the 10th house, which is naturally ruled by Capricorn, right? And it signifies status and your career. So these people can have very promising careers. And then something else I found to be very interesting, like I said, his sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and his midheaven are all in this, like clustered together in this house. His with his sun being conjoined to his Mercury, this could also signify him going into business with his brother, like having a prominent career with his twin brother. I thought that was very interesting too. And this could also point towards, especially with his Mars here also, this could also point towards sibling rivalry. Okay. And with that 29th degree of Venus there, it could point towards the fact that the two brothers probably competed with each other. Like, and it could have been one way or the other. So it could have been on Dino's part, or it could have been like on his brother's part. Like this placement can create somebody who, like, kind of like that, like sibling rivalry kind of thing. And they could have competed with one another, definitely as it pertains to their career, but also even when it comes to women. Like there's nothing, I haven't seen anything to kind of confirm this, but based off of this aspect or these placements, I would not be surprised. But yeah, and then this also could signify, like I said, him being known and the group being known for their very overtly sexual kind of music and being overtly, like having an overtly kind of provocative flair, and that being their claim to fame, so to speak. Another interesting thing that stood out to me in his chart was the fact that he's a Gemini South Node. And with him being a twin, I thought that was like, because, you know, Gemini is represented by the twin. And with him having a Gemini South Node, this places his North Node in the sign of Sagittarius, which could indicate that in this lifetime, Dino probably felt like restricted by his brother, or by him being a twin. Like he had an issue with establishing like an identity, you know what I mean? Like his own identity, forging his own identity aside from his brother. And that kind of reinforced those placements in his 10th house. Like I said, with his sun being conjoined to his Mercury and Mars, and that fucked up ass Venus, this could like just further kind of bring home the fact that there was this sense of like I think he enjoyed being a part of the group, but I would not be surprised if like that he felt like either he wanted to break out and be a solo star at some point, or maybe he felt like being a twin was holding him back from what he really wanted to do, or maybe he felt like it was preventing him from obtaining the type of success that he really wanted in his career. You know, because that Sagittarius North Node is all about living your truth, you know, feeling free to, I mean, really freedom, breaking free from that sense of duality. So yeah, that's very interesting. And back to me saying that I feel like him being in Aquarius rising is the appropriate, you know, placement for him, like for his ascendant, is because his Chiron, which Chiron is that asteroid that represents, is like, or a small planet, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But in astrology, it symbolizes the wounded healer. So it's areas of our life where we undergo a tremendous amount of trauma. And this could be physically, this could be figuratively, like on a emotional level, or perhaps even a subconscious level. But in Dino's case, his Chiron falls into his third house. And what was so particularly funny about this was that his Chiron is in the sign of Aries. And Aries, a lot of times people who have Chiron in Aries in general have undergone lots of physical trauma. A lot of, and whether it be like abuse or some type of significant wound to the physical, the outer body, okay? And because Aries is governed by the planet Mars, which is very like a fiery planet, it's a warlike planet, and it also deals with like weapons and bloodshed. So these could be people who undergo very violent, like I said, traumatic kind of issues, and it could be physically, and a lot of times even to the head, because Aries represents the head. Now, the third house, which is naturally ruled by Mercury, governs vehicles. You see where I'm going with this? So, you know, putting this all together, this placement could very well symbolize Dino's car accident. And to reinforce this, his Chiron is 1 degree off from the fixed star Beta Catus. And basically this star brings about a lot of misfortune, and it could typically be due to accidents or misfortune due to forceful and sudden traumatic events. And these people with this placement also are prone towards dark thoughts. That's another thing that I found to be interesting, because during that unsung episode that I saw on HTown, they were saying that 2 weeks before his death, Dino actually recorded a song called The Day I Die. Go look it up, y'all. I was going to play it, but I'm tired of getting copyrighted for including people's videos and music in my video. But yeah, so he recorded a song called The Day I Die. And in this song, he literally described what he wanted his funeral to look like. And he even implied that he was going to die via car accident. And this was 2 weeks before his death. So that was something that was very, very weird. And like a lot of people around him, you know, in hindsight, found this to be like just a foreshadowing event. And I would even argue that Dino, especially with all of this Scorpio energy in his chart, and he has some other placements to indicate this as well, he could have been very much plugged into occult. And then with his Saturn making a square to his Chiron, and his Saturn is in his 6th house of you know, your everyday work life, routines, health, things of that nature. This could point towards his career actually being cut short by way of this accident. And now another interesting placement that he has in his chart is his Uranus in the 29th degree of Libra. Now, And his Uranus is conjoined to his Pluto, because his Pluto is at the 8th degree of Libra. Now here's the T with this. With his Pluto is actually, it's 1 degree off from this fixed star called Vendimatrix. I think it's called Vendimatrix. And this deals with losing a partner, like, or becoming a widow or widower, so to speak. And with this conjoined to his Uranus, this could actually point towards he and his girlfriend, or his, I think she might have been his fiance at the time, actually dying together, and or him losing her as well in this car accident. I thought that was kind of crazy. And that Uranus at the 29th degree in general brings about very sudden traumatic changes, because Uranus is all about dramatic events, dramatic changes. And then you add that 29, which makes it hella unstable. Like, so this could definitely further reinforce this theme, like that kind of tragic theme going on here. And something else I noticed is that his Mars is actually 1 degree off from that fixed star that I was talking about during my DMX reading, called Zubin Glombi, whatever the fuck. Go back to my DMX video, because I talk about it a little bit more. Well, I actually spell it out there if you want to go look it up. But basically, this fixed star points towards bitter, like, it can deal with quarrels, basically, like arguments. And then it can also deal with death that is brought about due to, like, drugs or like poison chemicals. And this could actually point towards the people who are in the other vehicle being on some type of substance. And then also I'm actually wondering, and there, I mean, I haven't seen or heard anything to confirm this. This is just Megan's personal thoughts while I'm wondering, because they said his girlfriend was driving. So I'm wondering if Dino was actually under the influence of something during the accident, which is why he wanted her to drive. You see what I'm saying? Which is not uncommon, like, for a studio life, from what I've heard and what I've seen. A lot of artists kind of do, they drink or do drugs or whatever while they're in the studio. But, it was just something to think about. And then the other interpretation of this fixed star being so close to his Mars is maybe he and his fiance were arguing before the accident took place. Because, like I said, this fixed star could deal with, like I said, quarrels, arguments. So, and like tragic things happening as a result from an argument. So, like, once again, there's nothing to confirm this, and nobody would ever really know this except the two people in the car, and God. But I'm just wondering, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they were arguing, even before the impact, and maybe due to her being distracted, she wasn't able to see the other vehicle in enough time to take kind of evasive action, like, or they couldn't see what was coming. It just happened so fast and they were distracted. I wouldn't be surprised. Also, jumping back over to that Venus at the 29th degree in his 10th house, this could also point towards Dino, once, like I said, being a ladies' man, but also meeting a lot of women by way of his career, like being a magnet. And honestly, to not even like good kind of women, like him attracting a lot of like gold diggers and bitches who really ain't mean him no good, and things of that nature. So that was an interesting placement that I saw as well. Also, excuse me, y'all, I got my notes. They just shifting all around. But his Jupiter is conjoined to his Juno, his asteroid Juno. And remember that Juno deals with your relationships. And they're actually both making a square to his Neptune. And his Neptune is 1 degree off from that fixed star Antares, which can bring about sudden and unexpected death. So once again, this kind of reinforces the theme of him dying with a significant other. His Neptune is also 1 degree off from the fixed star Han or Han, depending on how you say it, HAN, which usually deals with unseen danger, shit that you don't see coming. Once again, like I said, compounding on that whole aspect of like them being in a car and not seeing another vehicle until the last minute, right? That accident. Now, I already talked about his Pluto being at the 8th degree of Libra. Something else I found to be noteworthy was his Mercury is in trine to his Jupiter, with his Jupiter being in the 8th degree of Pisces. And this could once again reinforce him going into music with his brother. Okay. And then that Mercury Mars aspect, I think it's his Mercury is conjoined to his Mars, like I said before, could deal with that competitiveness. But then also his Mercury is making a trine to his asteroid Juno. And this reinforces that, like when I was saying sibling rivalry, they even could have had situations where they had to share women. So this reinforces that, like, either Dino taking his brother's girlfriends or his brother taking his girlfriends, or them finding out they don't fuck the same bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it can create shit like that. And all of that going back to circling this back to that theme, especially with his Gemini South node, just him feeling like, damn, nigga, like, I love my brother. But I also love my career, but I want to be myself. Like, I want to be able to do things away from him and, you know what I'm saying? Like, have my own career, have my own women, have my own life, like outside of HTown knocking the boots and this nigga trying to steal the spotlight and shit. Or maybe his brother could have felt that way. Who knows? But it's something there. Now, looking at the transit that was taking place on the day of Dino's death, I found that his Mars was making a square to his Jupiter, which naturally is an aspect that brings about accidents and injuries. Anyway, and then Mars was also conjoined to his Neptune. So, and remember I was saying that theme of like drugs being present. So I don't know if this could be the people, which obviously is typically what happens when people like fuck other people's lives up. It sounds like the other party was under some type of influence or something, drunk driving, whatever the case may be. Maybe they was zooted, booted, higher than a Cooter Brown. But I can't help but to wonder also if at the same time Dino was impaired or inebriated at the time of death. And of course, really it would have it would be no fault of his because he wasn't the driver. But, I'm just wondering, like, maybe if he would have been sober or in clear mind enough to drive, what if he would have seen the car coming? Or what if, it's a lot of what ifs. But like I said, whatever the case may be, there's this recurring theme of some type of substance present. And then finally, Uranus was conjoined to his ascendant. And like I said, that Uranus, just the element of Uranus in and of itself brings about very sudden, drastic, dramatic change. And then your ascendant deals with your physical body, your appearance, okay? Your shell, your outer layer, so to speak. So this aspect could definitely bring about death, like the ultimate transformation. And Uranus is also associated with freedom. So on some level, this could translate into being some type of liberation present, or some type of liberation that his soul needed to go through, in order to, for this event to happen, this accident to take place. So that concludes my reading of Mr. Dino. Fine ass. I just keep looking at his pictures like, this man was fine. God knew what he was doing, making me like my age now. Because let me tell you something. Had I been like, a young little 20 something whippersnapper, a little teen back in like the early 90s, when I tell you I would be a Thottimus Prime, Tatiana, it would be a wrap. It would be a wrap. But I digress. So drop down in the comment section, y'all. Let me know what y'all thought about this video. Also, gotta go ahead and plug my services because a lot of people are asking me. I don't really do this in every video, but I guess I need to start. If you are interested in booking a reading, go ahead and email me at astroworld, WERLD @gmail.com. I had the name before Travis, okay? Before Mr. Travis Scott. But yeah, go ahead, book an appointment with me ASAP. And yeah, so with that being said, make sure you guys practice unconditional self-love so that you can love others. And until next time, I'll holla.